Shit. All right, chat. So today, I think I had a mental breakthrough, right? So for the last week and a half, I've been working on trying to get my insurance policies and really my insurance certifications, all my licensing and everything all the way out the way. Um, I finished everything. I got all the the necessary expenses out the way. You know what I'm saying? And it just came to a time to where I had to like sit down and reorganize my brain, right? I was flowing off a system of uncertainty, and I started to backtrack, and I looked a little I went further inside. Pause. I went deeper. I went deeper than I ever went, right? And I had this realization, like, all the negative, no matter how I tried to put it, it just made me aware of itself. It was never really to act upon the feeling of what I had observed or became aware of. It was more or less to enlighten me that this thing, and it didn't fit my reality. See, one thing that I started to understand is that we can change it to be more beneficial. We can change the negative thought processes, the paradigms, the way we see shit, perspective, because that's what life is about. It's all perspective. And they try to tell us that it is what we make it. You know, life is a dream, it's a movie, all these things, right? And when you're in the midst of everything, when you're in the fire, it's hard to to press stop, like an online game. Compared to a story mode linear like pathway of doing shit. When you start to really go deep within, and you just start fucking that shit uncontrollably. I don't think I should start cussing right off the bat. My bad. Take to YouTube. My bad. I don't know y'all guidelines and things of that nature, so I'm new to this. But one thing I do want to say is I started to understand it. I'm starting to understand my mindset, my thought patterns, and my paradigm, because nothing is against what we would want to affirm for ourselves to see as the ideal in our lives. And I tried to formulate a certain way of talking and being that just didn't match with how I was trying to perceive myself. But when I started to really lock in, I'm like, nah, there was something there, because I wouldn't be doing all this shit if I didn't think that's where I was trying to be. I understood what it was. I figured out the path. I understood. I really, I started to, I started to, what's the word? I started to monitor the frequency of of how often something within my brain either brought down my elevated it. And earlier today, I said around 8, 9 in the morning, I had been up trying to look over my insurance policies and shit like that, trying to learn, get everything all the way out the way. You know, take it way more seriously than I had ever perceived it could be taken. And changing my paradigm, changing my thought pattern, my way of believing things to be going into a sense of, okay, anything that brings adversity, any sort of roadblock, is only for me to become conscious of the way of thinking, the pattern of thought, that block. The moment I'm aware of the negative, it's no longer that, right? Because I don't identify with mentally. I don't identify as these occurrences, or these situations or circumstances. It's always the solution that you would identify as, and the solution always just so happens to warp itself around everything. Um, Now, knowing how life is, you know, if everybody and or had life just not been fucking sometimes crazy, you know what I'm saying? We could all see this shit. But it just, what happens is, you got sheep, you got the shepherd leading everybody to the slaughterhouse. You somehow woke up and was like, man, I don't want to go that way. And every time you wake up, here come the shepherd knocking your ass back out, shaving off all your hair. You feel me? Making shit what he wanted. And that's only because that's the way you think it's supposed to be. You you might even consciously feel as if things should be different, but for some reason you just keep going down that path. And that's not because you aren't making the changes consciously. It's because you consciously still feel the shit that brought you to this point. All right. It's not that things are not changing. You are experiencing everything as it should be experienced because of what led up to this moment. You don't control every outcome, but you do influence the outcomes you experience to perceive. The perception changes the outcome because you will see it differently. The outcome is not the exact location, it's the journey, my guy. I figured it out. It's always the journey. So it's like awaken. It's like being awake in a dream. It's like waking up in a dream and having consciousness while you're dreaming, because that is in and itself life, my nigga. It's all. That's why. That's why. This is what I just thought about too. I'm like, when I be dreaming, sometimes, my nigga, I don't even stop myself to be like, damn, bro, this is the dream. Whole time that was the way I was thinking before I went to sleep. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna consciously come back to the awareness that this is a dream when I'm not where I was before I had came to that realization. But it's always something that just is like, nah. And it's not just because a subconscious pattern, it's because it's life. You are living through these moments. So the moment you become consciously aware of how shit is going, you start to change it. Then the systems start to become more observable. You can actually see shit for what it really is. And it might even seem as if it's a lot harder to change shit based off of the way you were programmed to see it. Now, the moment you change your perception, you can change how you believe things to be done. You can change the way you see everything to be going, and that should formulate a better protection of your own being, your own paradigm, your own mental environment. You get what I'm saying? Because it's not about the physical shit, but even when everything is going great, it can still be turbulence. You get what I'm saying? So my laptop is dying, and I just wanted to really say all of that, just to say, because it came to my mind. Pause. It really just, and it was like something that was shining a light upon this this shadow within my mind, and I'm trying to figure out. Okay, well, I know I don't want to persuade myself to do all these things that could lead to negative actions or consequences. So maybe it's just to be aware of it. Maybe it's not to act on or even do anything. It's just to be aware of it, to change that shit to match the exact frequency, vibration, and way of life that I'm trying to program myself, because we are setting these systems in play, right? We we have a direct um response mechanism within our brains. That's the consciousness, right? So once we consciously understand that anything that we visualize within our brains can be used and be of benefit, instead of seeing things as like you're looking from this point of view, instead of understanding it's coming from you. You get what I'm saying? So you're not trying to get to a point of reference. You are the point of reference, and everything is sprouting from that point. That's where this shit comes from. Then it starts to reverse engineer itself out to the external world. Now, you don't need to see any of this shit happen. You just need to understand that that's what's happening. It's working, and everything is going according to the plans of which you yourself want the ideal life, the desired outcome, whatever that may be, right? It's always going. Now this is where shit gets a little tricky too, because we'll start to to focus on what we want. And then once all the shit that happens that we don't expect to have happen start happening, we get locked back into, see, I was watching this video, we get locked back into this paradigm of thought. And whole time it's the experience of what causes you to feel like things may not be working is always going to come after the realization of the worthy ideal. Meaning, once you get back in your lucid dream, like, oh shit, this is a dream, like I control this. It's always gonna be something like little shit that always it's always tit for tat. The moment you evolve past the the investigation of what it is that causes you to feel or think a certain type of way, and you see past that, and you're like, oh, now I can just go, you feel me, like move past it to the bigger and better picture, bro. Because you see the bigger picture. You're not worried about the shit. You're not worried about the details because you have the bigger picture. You get what I'm saying? The moment you start focusing on a fucking feather, when it's a million other feathers around this bitch, you lost. But the moment you see all the feathers creating this bird sitting on this motherfucking mailbox in front of this mansion, nigga, now you can paint the whole shit. And you ain't just worried about this million fucking feathers. You get what I'm saying? They can see the whole shit. And it always got to this point to where I'm trying to figure out, like, what is my brain doing? Like, I understand it. It's literally decoding, deciphering all the information of shit that I figured. It's a certain type of bias. It's confirmation bias. That's what our brains feed off of. Once we can actually start to see and configure that everything is going the way we would desire everything to be, in exact accordance as if we had full control over everything, there's no worries. But the moment you start to fall back into the pattern of trying to figure out why things are going the way they are going, you start to encounter more of shit that keeps it like, why is it like this and why is it like that? Because you're worried about hitting your hand or painting on your fucking hand instead of the what do they call that? The canvas. You're worried about every time you take a stroke of the paintbrush to the canvas, it gets on your hand instead of realizing that you can move your hand. You get what I'm saying? It's little shit like that, right? So I say all of this to say that I got a lot of. It's not even like positive, like hyperactive or like a super surge of energy. It's more like a concentrated effort of like a concentrated realization. All right, and I came to the realization that everything is happening in accordance to the way you design it to be because of the systems that were in play, the programs that you had to break out of, all of that shit. And that's why all of the little tit for tat shit might happen. It might seem like you 10 steps back after you take a million steps forward. The whole time, nigga, you taking 100 million steps forward, realizing what that step back was because it was for you to regain the balance. You know what I'm saying? Things don't just magically happen per se. It's always gonna come from a calculated um intent intentional way of being. Okay, so that's more how shit comes down to it. Now you might not want to take responsibility of this and intentional way of being, but the moment you change your perspective upon how you see this intention, the decisions that you took, the decisions you made, the ways of being, the things that you can do to actually re re what's the word? Reenact whatever it is to repetition. It's not just redo. Um, anyway, just having the recollection of what you want, and having keeping your mind like that's why they just say you got to keep your mind on the prize, man. Keep your eye on the prize, because that's the way of everything will be seen from. You will see it from that perspective. The more you see it from that perspective, you get what I'm saying? You'll be what you're trying to be by seeing it the way it needs to be seen. And you always automatically envision more, better. That's the way, man. So I don't know, but I gotta charge my laptop. So yeah, that's all I was saying, deuces.